Hi, this is Kevin from Map Practical. Today I want to show you how to do a Swiss Hillshade using a model from ESRI's Mapping Center. If you go on their website and look under ArcGIS resources and then under models and scripts, they've got some really good stuff. So you would just download the Swiss Hillshade model, and then you would go up to Arc Toolbox up here, right click on Arc Toolbox, and then hit Add a Toolbox, navigate to wherever you have that on your machine. And then you would actually open that toolbox, look at the model, and right click it and say Edit. If you hit open, it's going to tell you it can't do it because it doesn't have the parameters set. So let's blow this thing up so we can take a look. So this is the original model that comes from ESRI. You just added a default DEM, and then it runs a hillshade, and then it divides that hillshade by 5, runs some focal statistics on the original hillshade and filters it a little bit, and then it adds the two together to give you an aerial perspective. So I've changed this up a little bit for myself because I have some different needs, but it's basically the same thing. So there's the input DEM and then the hillshade focal statistics again, and we'll just take a look inside of one of these tools. So what I've done is I've created a folder in my workspace called model dump, and I'm just dumping all the intermediate steps. That way they can just be deleted after you're done running the model, because you really only need the two final outputs. They're two different hillshades. So I run that, and it comes all the way through until it gets to this raster to geo database, and that's what dumps them into my geo database that I have set up. So if you're not familiar with Model Builder, real quick, it's the blue circles are your original input, the yellow squares are always going to be your tools, and then the green circles are going to be kind of your intermediate steps. They're both an output of the original tool and input into the next tool. So if we just kind of went along this, we have a DEM, we run a hillshade on it. That hillshade is then run through a focal statistics tool, which kind of generalizes the relief, and that becomes a medium filter, which then is pumped into the geo database. Okay, I've added one extra thing in this whole routine, and that's a times up here, and with this constant I just multiply my meters by 3.281, and that's going to convert my DEM to feet. So I needed that so that I could generate contour intervals in foot intervals instead of in meters. Alright, so when you're ready to go, you just go up to Model, run Entire Model, and let her rip. Go get yourself a coffee or something. And when you're done, no, I don't want to save it. When you're done, you're going to get a shaded relief that looks something like this. So this is a hill shade that comes out of the model, and of course it's a little dark. So I usually go in and change things up a bit. I have some color ramps that I set up that are a little bit lighter than the standard white to black. So I have a white to 60% gray one here. I've got my standard deviation set at 3, and under display I always change that to bilinear interpolation because it is continuous data. That'll make it a little smoother, and hit OK, and you'll see that lightens it up. The second hillshade that comes out is called Calc. It's called Calc 2 on this particular one, but when I turn it on, it's a little bit dark as well. I make its transparency 45%, same thing with the bilinear interpolation on the resample. And then under symbology, I have another ramp that I set up that's 30% gray, from white to 30% gray. So those color ramps, you can make as many custom ones as you like inside of Arc, and that's a tutorial that will be coming up soon. You can also download a bunch of really nice natural hypsometric tint color ramps from the ESRI Mapping Center. So we say OK, and you'll see what has happened is now we have a nice shaded relief. It's got a little bit wider highlights in the high peaks. It's taken some of those super dark shadows out of the valleys, and it looks a lot nicer, especially when you take the original DEM, apply a color ramp to it, and then you start to get a pretty decent looking shady relief. We're going to add a lot more to this one and get a really sharp looking relief of Denali National Park, which is this area here, but that's in another tutorial. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.